Welcome to Unscripted. I'm your host, Addisyn Uehling. In this series, we have candid one-on-one conversations with physicians about common struggles that doctors face in today's world. On today's show, we will be sitting down with Dr. George Laliotis to talk about medical training and biotech careers on today's episode of Unscripted. Thank you so much for joining us today. Could you please start by introducing yourself and sharing a little bit about your background?
Of course. Hi, thank you for having me. It's great to be here with you. So my name is George Laliotis. I'm a physician scientist. I'm originally from Greece. So I've been in the US for a couple of years now. I've been trained in cancer biology, RNA biology, and internal medicine. And now I'm working in biotech industry, clinical trial design, and translational medicine for biomarker discovery. And we will expand more in our discussion.
Awesome. So kind of what sparked your interest in the medical field?
Yeah, so, I always had an interest in science since I've been a little. So I also always liked biology. In my small mind, I was not able to understand what's biology, but, I was able to understand that little things coming together, and then I learned that these things are molecules either way. So when I was going through high school, I liked biology. I liked interacting with people. I liked the curiosity of how things are working. So for me, kind of medical school, it was, a one-way road. So then when I entered medical school, this passion was actually more about research, about how things are working. And because also my family had a lot of incidences of cancer, beside the family. And so the final years in med school, I decided that I would like to spend some more time understanding mechanisms of oncology and hematology. So here I am.
Awesome, that's super cool. Can you kind of share a little bit about your background in what residency did you go to? Where did you go to med school? Kind of a little bit about your schooling.
Yeah, of course. So I went in University of Crete in Greece. I'm originally from there. It's in the south. Medical school back home is 6 years compared to 4 years here in the US. Then I came here. I started my PhD. Initially, I was in Tufts Medical Center, then Ohio State, and then Johns Hopkins here in Baltimore. I did the preliminary year of internal medicine. Then many things changed. I got married, my priorities changed, and I starting, after this, a long 5.5 years of schooling to transition, into industry. And also currently, I'm wrapping up my first year of MBA here at Johns Hopkins as well.
Okay, awesome. That's super
cool. A lot of school, basically.
Yeah, basically, that's kind of what that sounds like.
A lot of school, yeah.
Yeah. So what do you want to do with that? What do you want to do with this now MBA and all of your past experience in medical school?
Yeah, so that's a very good question. So I was very confident, out of medical school, that you can achieve a lot, you can have an understanding, but strictly just medical education and medical school or like bench work, PhD and all of this, you're not ready at all for, especially in the US in 2024. Healthcare is a business, healthcare is a product, how you can be in the front of new ideas, how to bring affordable care to patients, how to have health equity, but also to create profit because, this is how the system works. Mm-hmm. So I saw that I was liking a lot of skills, and not skills necessarily, also skills, of course, also frameworks and way of thinking of how to approach problems in a scaling manner, how we can have healthcare issues and gaps in the market, in the business, to bridge everything, for profit and also for patient outcomes. So I'm planning to utilize all this, knowledge as of now, post MBA, to bring everything together.
Yeah, that sounds super cool. So what exactly does your day-to-day look like?
Okay, so maybe I will include, so I wake up in the morning, I'm trying to do some daily activities like gym and stuff. Then the majority of the days I have also class. And then, so currently my current role, hopefully, is remotely. It has a lot of analytics meetings, some strategy meetings to create plans for clinical trial execution, to do some coding as well, the stats and how, the samples are being processed. And more meetings, more discussion, a lot of thinking, some writing. So you see a lot of, plethora of different activities and things while you are in industry. Yeah.
Yeah, that's super cool. So I feel like it kind of takes a unique skill to be a medical professional, but also in the biotech industry, where do you feel like being a medical professional, how does that set you differently in the industry?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So basically, you can compare someone with a medical background. Of course, if you work in industry, you have always in your mind, the profit for the business, how to make a product very appealing. But always in the end of the day, you're having back in your mind that this is going. So always is the cost and benefit in
Mhm.
your mind, not only just to drive cost and to reduce to increase the revenue and reduce cost, but also have in mind what the actual impact that you're making. Plus, you have other type of skills, in analytics, in methodical thinking, because when you're doing differential diagnosis, for example, it's very important to have step-by-step thinking. So when you take these frameworks and you apply them in industry or any type of, biotech, is is going to help you a lot. It's a very good toolkit. Just go back when you face any difficulties.
Yeah, for sure. How did you effectively brand yourself so that in this biotech industry? Because it's kind of different for a lot of medical students instead of going right into practice, going into this biotech industry. How did you struggle with that and how did you get through that?
Yeah, no, that's another great point. So, of course, I was not the exception. I applied in several positions. It was my first position out of academia, so it was pretty challenging
Mhm.
for to land on my first job. So basically, I granted myself around the medical knowledge that I have analytic skills from the the research years and everything else, but also I bring some knowledge about how the clinic is working, what is the priority of the patient, how the dynamic between insurance and healthcare professional and patients, how those things are working, and also what the patient needs to hear, or like how a common physician would like to hear from the product in order to prescribe a drug, a therapeutic, to have a new approach. So actually having this type of exposures in the past, it's able to bring this forward to make as an appealing professional that has the skills that someone in our team already possesses, but has some other background that can help promote the product, enhance the marketing, and so on and so forth.
From your experience in the biotech industry, where do you feel like there's opportunity for medical professionals to come in and really change that and grow that?
Yeah, so there are a lot of different types of industries, either scientific communications and medical writing, medical affairs, clinical trial operations, analytics, even healthcare marketing, how we said before, business development, clinical development, how basically in a higher level to prioritize, and also strategy, how to prioritize what type of studies and new trials and infrastructure a biotech needs it actually to bridge the gap between the market needs and also what is happening in the clinic, what is the clinical needs for the patients, what drugs are missing, what outcomes are affecting the patients. So especially for those that they have like longer training into academia and some training programs, I think they're going to be great candidates, especially now that the biotech is switching more to, data driven environments that, all the new companies that they're like spearheading all the technologies, they're working around data, and they want people that they know medicine, but they also understand data. So medical school and residency, everyone is doing research in med school and doing residency. These are excellent skills for someone to brand themselves
Mhm.
for the future workforce.
Yeah, for sure. We talked to a lot of physicians who are attending and practicing now. What would you say? We talk a lot about work life balance and burnout with that. How do you feel like work life balance and burnout is different in the biotech industry and what you do?
Yeah, of course, also in industry it's pretty challenging, but you have in industry a lot of remote opportunities. So you can work from home, have some more downtime for activities that you like, for your family, a lot of things. Also, You can travel more for conferences. So you have other, funding available for these type of things. Several medical professionals, they're very eager to travel in big conferences, and that's a very nice experience. You discuss with other professionals, you learn about the new developments in the field. So in academia, in some cases, especially during training, it's pretty challenging because the funding is not there. So many, young residents, they need to have out of pocket, which already the salary in residency is not very competitive. And also you have a lot of exposure in different departments. So you can have, personal development as well. So you can balance your life the way that you like. You can have a better salary, better condition, and also learn a lot. So it's, for me so far, it has worked very well.
Yeah.
So overall, I feel very satisfied.
Yeah, that's so great. That's so great to hear. You really want to have a job that you come home feeling really satisfied and that you did something right. And I feel like that's definitely sounds like what you feel like, and that's really cool. Would you say kind of give some examples of the opportunities that you've seen and the impact that you've had in like the biotech industry, or how can medical professionals do that?
Yeah. So there, depending on the type of industry and depending on the size as well. I would say, so if you're working in a startup or a medium size or a big pharma, of course, the impact is different. If you go into big pharma, you have more career security, but you're kind of, you're doing one specific thing. Although in, smaller sizes and startups, you can have a lot of impact. Although, the pace is quicker. So bottom line, for medical professionals, they can have a lot of impact, especially in the way of thinking and how tasks can be strategized, how, again, gaps in medical knowledge can be utilized, and, all the professionals that bring a lot of skills, throughout medical school. And, although in the past it was kind of, stigmatized, if you haven't gone through the canonical training and so on, now more biotech industry, they would like physicians or, PhD students and graduates that they can be out there in the field. So they bring a lot of value.
So, what advice would you give to medical professionals who are kind of on the edge? They don't know whether they want to do biotech or whether they want to go into a practicing physician role.
Yeah. So I think what I did when I was trying to decide how I would proceed forward, I started reaching out to people. People that I have seen, on LinkedIn, in Twitter, that I have met once in conferences, or they were like guest speakers, and they were transitioning themselves. So, because of course I was looking up to them, and I wanted to see the experience from there. Also, especially the old some specific training programs, maybe they will stigmatize those that they go into private clinics or biotech. So I would advise, the medical students and young residents just to reach out to people that they trust, not try to, to get stigmatized from old beliefs that if someone goes into industry, it's a failure. That's not the case. There's so many opportunities. You're going to learn so many things. You're going to be exposed in new things, and definitely overall the experience. And maybe someone can go back one day just having all the skills, because in the end of the day, all the skills, they can be and they are actively being translated for the benefit of the patients. So my advice would be just open your eyes, open your mind, discuss with people, go like grab a coffee with them, go send a LinkedIn chat and just connect with them.
Yeah.
And they will give you some very specific insights.
Yeah. Is that specific? Is that what you did to know?
Kind of, yes. I had a couple of, people that now called friends that I was really trusting them, and they made the transition. I was like, okay, maybe I reach out to them to see how they look. They said maybe it's the time to do it. Back then, also the market was better in biotech, more positions. So yeah, I think it has paid out.
Yeah, for sure. So, kind of how does your experience in all this medical experience, right? How does that set you apart, and how does that really help you in the biotech industry?
Yeah. So basically, you see, for example, you have in your mind when you're trying to sell a product, because basically you're selling all the time, what different type of groups, what they would like to hear. For example, the physicians would like different pieces of evidence compared to someone from another company or compared to someone with sales experience. So basically, you have more understanding on where to fit in which bucket, because you can speak also the language of the business, and also you can speak the language of data, the language of medicine. You can speak at a higher level you need it, plus to have the granularity to go deeper into data and medical knowledge. So this one so far has helped me a lot, and also the way that I'm thinking, try to organize my work, my task, and the depth of the analysis. So
Yeah,
I,
absolutely.
I have not regretted that so far.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
What challenges have you faced in choosing this career path?
Yeah, so the challenges are always there. And sometimes the workflow is a lot. Sometimes always you have doubts. Maybe I should have stayed more to complete, the training. Maybe some more years in the clinic. But and this is always coming. It was coming to my mind, especially in the first months. Now I think I'm very solid about my decision. The challenges are that in some cases we do not have some professionals from other teams with different backgrounds. They do not value so much that why you have done so much schooling and why so many years in med school and so on. So they do not. They think that it's not a waste of time, but expensive years that it could be utilized otherwise. So these are some type of challenges as well. But always if someone would like their work that they're doing, they can easily overcome them.
Yeah, so how did you overcome them specifically?
I was very solid in my mind of what I would like to do, and I really enjoyed, the new skills that I'm getting, the team that I'm working with, the direction of the science. I was able to see the impact of the data that we're producing firsthand. So for me, that was a great motivation, just to focus on what I am doing and to be very confident, and happy with my decision.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always good to have that mindset.
Yeah.
So what would you say are some common misconceptions about medical professionals in the biotech industry?
Yeah, so several times people think that you're kind of book smart and you are not able, to speak the language of the business or to negotiate well or to be, because medical profession usually they're like just nodding and they're very polite and knowledgeable. So you have that misconception that on the one hand, they just know their internal medicine biology and that's it, and they do not have the leadership skills. They do not know how to manage people, which is a major misconception. So I've seen some biotech, healthcare that are amazing, leaders and visionaries, and the skills that they have are just admirable. And on the other hand, you have the misconception that if someone, leaves the academic setting, that maybe gave up very early or does not is not passionate about science anymore, but this cannot be the case. We see several big companies now that they are actually the leaders on producing new technology, funding these opportunities, bringing this to the patients quicker and faster and more accurately.
Mhm.
So as we go ahead, I think in a couple of years, this misconception are not going to exist anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. Where do you feel like the intersection between healthcare and biotech is like evolving? You kind of mentioned the next couple of years. Where do you see that going?
Yeah, so now as because the funding for the universities and all the bureaucracy and paperwork for new technology to be developed are always kind of the bottleneck how to move forward. So this is where, of course, the academic knowledge and the academic institutions are the leader there. But now there is the mindset that if you need a biotech partner in order to move a good technology forward. Either it's a drug, either it's a biomarker, diagnostic test, just name it. So now, compared to the past, I remember also during my training, it was more like, okay, this company, we're not going to share so much data. It's kind of,
Mm,
us versus them. But now we see that all the big trials that have been starting, all the new drugs, anything that is applied in healthcare, not only in drugs in general, in new policies, new laws, everything. Always there is a biotech partner there to set up also different standards. also the market needs, what is the safety, some different things, and to be the liaison in some cases between federal agencies. Way, pairing between these different entities, I think it shows very well that biotech, partners very well with academics, and over the years, this thing is going just to become better and bigger.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you have any last thoughts that you'd like to give to the audience, people who are struggling between whether they should go into practicing or the biotech industry? What would you have to say?
I would say, so first of all, for those that they are in med school, they're very close to finish. For those that they're very residency hanging there, you're almost done. And in the end of the day, they just need to prioritize what they really, really like and why they wake up in the morning. Maybe their passion is really patient care, so they can focus on that. Some other people who would like some more time with their family and they have passion about, learning new skills. So just follow your mind and follow what is your passion, what gets you up in the morning.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure anyone with medical training is not going to have an issue, whatever, they decide.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time today. It was great to learn more.
Of course. Thank you for it.
Yeah, of course. I'd like to thank Dr. George Laliotis for joining us today as we took a deeper look into a career in biotech. I hope our conversation has shed some light on non-traditional medical career paths. Stay tuned for more discussions on important topics in the medical field, and one way to do that is to like and subscribe so you'll never miss an episode. I'm your host, Addisyn Uehling, and we'll see you next time on Unscripted.